Hello, welcome to European Open Briefing for Tuesday, November the 6th. I'm Rafi Boyajian, currency analyst at XM.com, and we're going to be having a look at what's happening in the currency markets today. Things are relatively quiet this morning. We've got a bit of caution ahead of the US midterm elections. We can see equities are fairly mixed at the moment. On Wall Street overnight, we did see gains for the Dow Jones and the S&P, but the Nasdaq was under pressure from declining technology stocks. If you look at currencies, the dollar index at the moment is fairly steady at around 96.28. Dollar yen trading close to 1 month's high at 113.26. So all eyes will be on the US midterm elections, where the Republicans could possibly lose the majority in the House of Representatives. That would possibly lead to some downside pressure for the US dollar. There's been some positive sentiment regarding renewed efforts by US and China to start trade dialogue that has been boosting sentiment, and perhaps that's what's helping the euro hold above the $1.14 level, despite the fact that the Eurogroup had a meeting yesterday, asked Italy to come up with an alternative budget. Having a look at sterling is one of the better performers this morning once again. It's approaching the 1.31 level, currently trading at 1.3072 against the US dollar. So all indications are that the UK and the EU are inching closer to Brexit deal, and later today the Prime Minister will be having a meeting with the cabinet to discuss Brexit, where she will be trying to win their support for her Brexit strategy. Perhaps we could see some headlines regarding that, which could pressure the pound later today. Having a look at now at the Australian dollar, it is up by 0.3% at $0.7230. We had the RBA policy meeting, keeping rates on hold as was expected, but the RBA did raise their growth forecast a little bit, so that did give the Aussie a bit of a lift. The Kiwi is also up slightly this morning at 0.6671 against the US dollar. We do have quarterly employment numbers coming out of New Zealand later this evening, early Thursday or early Wednesday, depending on your time zone. And finally, having a look at the Canadian dollar, dollar loonie has broken above the 1.31 level on the back of falling oil prices, which is pressuring the Canadian currency. The loonie did get a bit of a temporary lift yesterday on the back of hawkish remarks by Bank of Canada Governor Stephen Poloz, who reiterated that interest rates will continue to keep rising in Canada. And having a look at commodities, gold is slightly up, oil is down still, as despite the fact that those Iranian sanctions have come into effect, the US has provided exemptions to 8 countries, so that is pressuring oil prices, and we can see oil once again the worst performer. The Aussie and the pound are the best performers this morning. Taking a closer look at the dollar yen, we're seeing broad yen weakness in recent days, probably down to the easing trade tensions between the US and China, and overall recovery in risk appetite. We're seeing dollar yen climbing to a 4-week high of 113.44. Plus, we did have more strong US data yesterday, the ISM non-manufacturing PMI bid expectations for October, and the focus though later today will be on the midterm elections. The Republicans are expected to lose the majority in the House, to the Democrats, and that could pose difficulties for the Trump administration. Would make it more difficult for them to pass through their proposed tax cuts on middle income earners next year, as well as possibly it would make it easier for the Democrats to impeach President Trump, and also that would overall be negative for for US stocks, and further fiscal stimulus that could possibly pressure the greenback. Let's now see what's happening to the euro, because the euro is still fairly subdued, although it has recovered from that low at that $1.13 we saw at the end of October. The euro managing to hold above the 1.14 level for the time being. The Eurogroup, which comprises the Eurozone finance ministers, told Italy that Italy needs to come up with a revised budget. Italian officials have said that they are working on a compromise. They do have until November 13 to respond. If not, the EU could possibly hit Italy with fines for breaching EU fiscal rules. In the meantime, the Eurozone data is still negative. The Centix index fell to a 2-year low in November, so there's a little upside for the euro at the moment, even if things possibly there could be some sort of a solution to the Italian budget crisis. And finally, having a look at the Australian dollar, we can see the Aussie edging up towards last Friday's 5-week highs. The RBA didn't announce any changes to its policy today, as what had been expected, but they did raise their growth forecast for this year and the next, and they do expect inflation to rise gradually and for unemployment to fall steadily as well. So that did give a bit of a lift to the Aussie, plus the overall improvement in risk appetite, in particular the fact that the US and China do appear to be talking now once again, and we've got that upcoming meeting between President Xi of China and the US President Donald Trump at the end of November, where we've got the G20 summit. And looking at what's coming up later today, it's going to be fairly quiet. We do have a couple of ECB speakers. That's it from me. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.